Hello, everyone. Between the Anaretic Capricorn full moon and the Sun Pluto opposition, Biden decided to withdraw from the presidential race. And I usually don't do political assignments, political analysis. But first of all, because I'm not a politician, I'm not an analyst, I'm not a journalist either. I'm a teacher, first and foremost, and I'm a karmic astrologer. So I'm dealing with people and people's struggles and problems. But I am interested in world politics, of course. And whenever I see an event like this was like the Ukrainian war or the Hamas attack, I do like to look at the space-time moment. And because this has never happened before. No incumbent president has ever withdrawn from a presidential race. We might as well take a look at the space-time moment, although I'm not going to analyze the space-time moment, first of all, because all you need to do is watch um, the Anaretic full moon video and the Sun Pluto opposition video, and you will see that this happened in between. So actually, both events were kind of important for this decision. And at the same time, we are not going to analyze Biden's chart either, because a lot of my colleagues have done this. And I'm only interested in how the space-time moment affected the decision. So it's kind of a mule an analysis between a synastry and a forecast. In synastry, we are looking at two people or a person and an event or a person and a company. And in this case, the space-time moment is when Biden's letter appeared on X, the platform X. And this is what I'm looking at, but I'm not going to take the ascendant and houses and anything. We are going to just look at inter aspects. And we are not also going to analyze Biden, as I said. Let's take a look at what I prepared. It's going to be a shorter couple of pages, only 3 pages, compared to what I normally do. Because so that's the exact moment when, as I said, when the letter, the presidential letter, appeared. And this was on July the 21st at 13:46 p.m. Washington, D.C. I'm using this particular moment in time, because that is when it appeared, it became world news. And I'm using Washington, D.C. because that is the seat, the power seat for the United States. So we are not going to take a look at the chart itself. I'm just going to show you a couple of things. Namely, one thing is important, that we are actually in between the Capricorn Anaretic full moon and the Pluto Sun opposition. The moon is already in Aquarius, a couple of hours after the full moon, and and Pluto is still in Aquarius, of course. There's a Sun Pluto opposition, just like I'm not sure which chart you are using for the United States. There are many, actually. There's the Sibley chart, which most astrologers use. But Peter Novak, who is an American astrologer, he has a page, Pathfinder Astrology, and he has quite interesting analysis. And he is a political astrologer in many ways, because he is looking at politics most of the time. And he uses what he calls the Liberty chart, which is about 2 days earlier. So it's not on the 4th of July, it's on the 2nd of July. And as far as I remember, I didn't have time to drag that chart into the picture. I know that I have it somewhere. He's constantly rectifying it, so the timing may not be exactly what he is using now, but you can check out his page. You can ask him directly. He's on Facebook, and as far as I remember, it is a Capricorn. A Capricorn Pluto an Anaretic Capricorn Pluto, which was actually where this Anaretic full moon was. So that's really, really scary, kind of, because as you see, you already had your your Pluto return. United States already had its Pluto return, but this particular anaretic full moon was spot on the Pluto of the United States. And of course, the moon, as far as I remember, the moon is in Aquarius already, but I can't be sure. But anyhow, take a look at this. It could be quite fascinating to see how that particular chart gets strengthened. And at the same time, you can see that it's still the full moon phase. Of course, we are just a couple of hours after the exact full moon. The sun is still anaretic at the very last degrees of Cancer, last degree of Cancer, already opposite Pluto, of course. So some Pluto opposition is already there. And there's also the Pluto moon conjunction that is kind of interesting. What may be interesting, no, I'm not going to analyze this one, as I promised. So we're going to just look at synastry. So here's Joe Biden's natal chart. It's very well known, very well analyzed. A lot of people analyzed it already. What I will just highlight for you, maybe a couple of things. The 12th house sun conjunct Venus may be interesting. So he was someone big in a previous significant incarnation. He has a 12th house Mars and Uranus on the descendant. He did have some tragedies in his life. And he also has a Chiron North Node conjunction. This North Node is anaretic because it's at 0 degrees Virgo Pisces. So, and the Chiron is at 29 degrees Leo, 28.5 degrees Leo. So actually this Chiron North Node conjunction is on Regulus. So he was bound to become someone big. That's important. And the Uranus descendant conjunction is also quite revealing with the 5th house Taurus sun. And Pars Athena Vesta conjunction on at the beginning of the 3rd house means that he knows how to speak well. And also the Ceres I see may be interesting. So I'm sure he was meant to be someone for his family and for his nation, so to speak. I have to tell you right away that I'm not particularly fond of Biden for many reasons, which I'm not going to elaborate. I do have a couple of friends who are very much against him, and some good friends who are for him. And it was funny to hear, to listen to one of them who is very much for Biden, very much against Trump. She is a Trump hater in many sense. Where she, when I asked her, when he made many blunders and many negative impacts. Really, the world was laughing at Joe Biden, let's face it. And she said that she believes that he is very smart, but he doesn't know how to speak well. He doesn't speak well. And this is to me amazing because I think the only thing that Biden does well or has done well in his life is speech. He knows how to speak. He's a true politician, but he's not very spectacularly a good president, let's put it this way. So, to me, I don't care if you are a Trump hater or a Biden hater. I never hate people. I only take a look at things, what it does to my own country and to Europe. And I don't think that the Biden era did too well for us Europeans. Let's put it this way, because we have a war and a huge escalation of prices, so a huge inflation, and life in general became much harder for us Europeans. Okay, so that's his chart. Those are the highlights of his chart. This Chiron North Node conjunction is particularly important, and so is the Uranus descendant. So there are a couple of interesting points in his chart. Now let's take a look at the synastry grid. You have to understand that in karmic astrology, transcendental karmic astrology at least, we have, for each sign, we have a separate ruler. So Trans-Pluto is for Libra and Chiron is for Virgo. The rest is practically what you usually use in normal astrology. So here are the 12 rulers and his ascendant, IC, and nodal axis. And the space-time moments placements only, I utilize only the 12 rulers, nothing else. And I did not highlight any of the trines. So this is really like a combination of a synastry and a forecasting, because in forecasting, we don't look at transit of the personal planets at all, not even Jupiter so much. And in synastry, we do. And actually, we don't look at the transpersonal planets so much if the two persons were born very near to each other. So this is like a combination of the two, and that's why I'm also looking at the personal planets, because what's interesting, and here I'm going to quote Bernadette Brady. She has a wonderful book, The Eagle and the Lark, in which she explains a lot of techniques. And for instance, she takes a look at aspects in both in synastry, in other of her publications, but in this particular book, The Eagle and the Lark, she looks at aspects in forecasting. And this is what she says about the trine. It's movement without friction. Something is occurring very, very fast because all the obstacles are taken away. So that's the trine. Something is smoothly done. And look at the Sun-Sun trine, which is quite fascinating. And also the Sun ascendant trine, Sun-Venus trine. So you have 3 trines from the day this was happening. She says the following on the square. It's a new situation. You cannot blame anyone else. There's a new situation. You have never done it before, and you need to simply put a lot of energy and effort or very new methods in order to resolve it. So that's the square. And the quincunx, according to Bernard Brady, means things that you need to deal with. You can't neglect. So those are the 3 main things that may be different. And also the opposition, she always says that this is something that comes from the outside, and it's always something that hits you from the outside. And look at the opposition, there are quite a few. So what is fascinating in this particular synastry grid is Mercury's role. And as I said, to me, in Biden's case, what he does best, used to do best before his mental decline, because obviously he has a mental decline. I mean, no matter how you like him, no matter how you honor him, you have to realize that he is not his usual self, not his old self. And Mercury is terribly important for a politician, also for a president, because you need to speak to the people. You need to verbalize your ideas, your opinion. You need to deal with words. And here you have a couple of interesting aspects with Mercury. Mercury Sun square, Mercury Venus square, Mercury Chiron conjunction, Mercury North Node conjunction. So Mercury was just crossing over the Chiron North Node conjunction. Yeah, it does it every 88 days, sure. So if we calculate that he's 81 years old, this may have happened to him 3 times 80, 240 times. 240 times. Think about it. So it's not something unusual. It's just interesting that in this particular space-time moment, you have a couple of challenging Mercury aspects, and also highlighting the karmic wounds associated with his task in this incarnation. Also, the moon, what I find fascinating is that the moon, for some reason, is always there at an event, always there. So the moon is always making important aspects. And come to think of it, the moon does the same every 27 and a half days. Think about it. It reoccurs and reoccurs and reoccurs all the time. So it's just but still it acts as a pointer, acts as a like a highlighter, as a reflector many times. And in this case, you have a moon square, interestingly enough, although it's separating, but you also have a moon descendant trine, kind of highlighting what is happening. And as for Venus, what's interesting is a very tight Venus-Mars square, and also a Mars-Venus opposition. We are going to look at the double whammies in a minute. Those are always very important in synastry, in karmic synastry. So Venus is your well-being, and obviously it is kind of not very well done with Mars. Please disregard some of these aspects. I'm playing around with aspects a lot, and you don't need to know what those are. Those who are learning from me certainly know what they are. The K may be interesting because K, quindecile, is 165 degrees, obsession, ambition. And again, you have the Jupiter, exactly quindecile, the Sun and Venus. So obviously he did not want to quit. That's for sure. They made him quit for sure. And there's also Jupiter Mars very, very tight to almost to the minute quincunx. So it was inevitable. That's what Bernard Bailey said, that quincunxes are denote inevitable events. Interestingly, the Sun was exactly quincunx in the South Node. So something ended, obviously. As I said, this never happened in American history, never ever. There is also a couple of Mars aspects. Mars is opposite, and also Uranus. The Mars-Uranus conjunction is opposite his Sun and Venus. They are separating. So Mars is separating, Uranus is applying. But this Mars-Uranus conjunction, which I made a video like a week ago or a couple of, probably a week ago. You can actually look at it and see what it meant. It was opposite Biden's Sun-Venus conjunction. So it was really a meaningful thing. And Mars is also conjunct the descendant, just like Uranus. So it was moving up and down there. And it's applying yet, so it's below, it's not yet Uranus conjunction, the Uranus return. There is the Neptune opposition, by the way, as a main aspect, as a main lifetime aspect or life cycle aspect. But the Uranus opposite conjunction is not yet there. They usually occur quite close to each other. The Neptune opposition is anywhere between 81 and 83, and the Uranus return is around 84. So they're quite near. But Mars is squaring the nodal axis, just like Uranus. It's not like there, it's a couple of months before this actually occurs, but it's already there. Mars is actually pulling Uranus into it. And of course, Mars is also square Chiron, so karmic wounds are coming to the surface. And what the most important, probably the most important aspect, besides the Mars-Uranus oppositions is to my mind, is the Saturn IC conjunction, because that occurs every 30 years. This is quite tight because it's 0 degrees 52. So actually Saturn was moving across his IC and coming back and then moving again. So it's a lasso transit, of course. And at the same time, this occurs every 30 years only. Although I always say that because it only occurs every 30 years, 29 and a half years, take a look at the whole angle as well. So it's either Saturn IC, and then it's your family or your home, or Saturn midheaven, which then hardships and problems and difficulties and burdens and baggages around your aspirations, and your future. So that's a very important point. And Pluto is also interesting because you have a Pluto moon square. And this is very tight again. Look at it, it's separating 0 degree 04. And Pluto at the moment is retrograde. So this is a second touch, the second square. And usually what I have noticed is that the event, whatever the event is, it usually occurs when the planet is retrograde, because that is when it becomes obvious what is happening. And this is a double whammy. Now let's take a look at the double whammies. By the way, there's also Pluto Chiron quincunx and Pluto North Node quincunx. Again, the North Node is quite tight. So obviously there is this inevitable event, Pluto transformation, of course. So here are the double whammies. And as you can see, the space-time moment, the moon in the space-time moment is just opposite Pluto, while transiting Pluto is squaring the moon. So obviously this is a big psychological transformation for Biden both ways. As you can see, the moon, Pluto Moon Pluto square. Moon Pluto opposition. It's applying 3 degrees, as you can see. So this is transiting moon. So in let's say 6 hours, it will be exactly. It was actually exactly opposite his Pluto, and then Pluto, the transiting Pluto, is exactly squaring his moon. So these are the double whammies, and these are always important in a synastry because they show the most important aspects. Now Neptune, first of all, Jupiter. Let's start with Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, is big luck or big events, big things, and of course, this is one of the biggest news this year. Neptune is not just transcendental things and universal love, but also smoke screens and pink fog. And Sun, Neptune, Sun, double whammy is always about something that I'm not sure what I'm seeing is right, or I'm not sure whether or not I'm seeing the right thing. So it's either or. And so it's Moon Neptune, because Moon Neptune in a natal chart is always about clairaudience, how I have these clear voice in my head and understand stuff. And in this case, again, there's a double whammy, that whether or not I understand the inner voice. We spoke about the Moon Pluto double whammy, and the Chiron Mercury is also interesting. That this is really a karmic one. I'm sure that this was a very difficult decision for him. I'm sure. I mean, it's funny how in the past week, really, what you saw was a lot of the donors, the major donors, were kind of coming out and saying that this should be done. A lot of famous actors were also no longer backing him and saying that he should step down, he should let someone else. I don't know. I'm not, as I said, I'm not very fond of Joe Biden, except, of course, I do acknowledge his political deeds in a way, that achievement. Let's put it this way. I don't think he was a good uh, president at all, but that's my opinion, and I honor your decision, my fellow American people. What you did, it's your country. You do as you wish. You choose whoever you wish. But Kamala Harris is a terrible person. I mean, she really is a terrible person. Now, why they are going to back her, I don't know yet. If someone knows, please write in a comment and tell me what you think, because I don't think she's a good choice. Anyhow, if you really want someone to win this race, you definitely don't choose Kamala. Anyhow, so these are the double whammies, but it's a very interesting space-time moment. And of course, Mars, Venus is always about how these are, of course, challenging as the square and opposition. It's like an attack on the financial situation, attack on your well-being, and it's to him, this was not a nice moment for sure. It must have been a very, very difficult moment, and I hope that he will somehow get grips with it. Let's put it this way. Anyhow, this was it. Thank you for listening. And I hope you will choose wisely and well in the presidential race. Bye-bye.